D.C. judge released 18-year-old accused of firing 26 shots from an AR-15. Yeah. You know what? We're going to jump right in. We're going to watch the video. I think you will find this shocking as I did. I don't normally do like one-off news stories like this, crime news stories, but this one is literally so shocking that we just got to get into it. Let's do this. Many of you know that reporting from risky environments like CHOP in Seattle or street protests, that often puts my safety on the line. Despite having a concealed weapons permit, carrying a bulky item while filming in such situations, it's always been a challenge. That brings me to today's sponsor and the solution to my problem, the Vanish Daily Carry Holster. What stands out about this Vanish holster is its comfort and discretion. It weighs just 6 ounces. It's made from durable Cordura material that's gentle on the skin. Designed to fit 99% of semi-automatic pistols, it's adjustable for right and left-handed users. It features a secure trigger guard and includes utility or magazine pouches. Wear it under a loose t-shirt and it's virtually undetectable. Vanish Holsters offers a 100% money-back guarantee, ensuring a risk-free purchase. Plus, they're offering $50 off the retail price for those who use my special link below. And don't forget the huge giveaway. Vanish Holsters is giving away an $80,000 custom Rocky Ridge Silverado truck to one lucky buyer who purchases by June 3rd. Check out the link in the description to get the most comfortable holster you've ever worn and a chance to win this incredible truck. You're like, how does a judge justify this? Well, we're going to find out.
Case of a teenage suspect accused of firing 26 shots from an AR-15 rifle into a D.C. street. Incredibly, no one was hit in all of this. Court documents obtained by WUSA 9 reveal that the judge went against his own instincts to keep the teen in jail before trial after repeated pleas from the public defender. Our chief investigative reporter, 𝗥𝗘𝗠𝗏, is back on the case for us tonight. 𝗥𝗏𝗏, we know that hundreds of thousands of people have seen this video posted on your X account, which allegedly shows the teen emptying that semi-automatic rifle into that neighborhood.
Larry, it's a stunning video. So many people on social media asking the same question. Why would the judge let someone charged with a crime like that out of jail before trial? Tonight, this 141-page transcript of that court hearing on May 3rd revealed even the judge initially thought it was a bad idea. We want to warn you, this story includes video and audio of gunshots, and it can be disturbing.
It is disturbing.
18-year-old 𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗓𝗍 is accused of firing 26 shots from an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle at a SUV driving away on Independence Avenue in Southeast on April 22nd. He's now charged with assault with a dangerous weapon and possession of a firearm with a crime of violence.
Man.
In a hearing last Friday, Magistrate Court Judge Lloyd Nolan found probable cause for the case to go to trial and seemed likely to send 𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗓 back to jail pre-trial. A prosecutor telling the judge, "I think we all know that we're lucky that this wasn't a homicide." Judge Nolan agreeing, saying, "The concern I have is that this action could have killed someone."
I have great concern that this young man might murder someone. I have concern. Why don't you do something about it?
The court transcripts show the suspect's public defender continually fights the idea of sending 𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗓 back to jail, asking the judge to release 𝗪𝗧𝗪 with only a GPS monitor, a curfew, and activities during the day, including finishing his high school diploma and job training arranged by his aunt.
Activities. Is this a preschooler? No. He's shooting an AR-15 in a public street. So crazy.
Public defender also told the judge 𝗪𝗧𝗪𝗓 had a supportive family, many of whom were in court, willing to take him in and help monitor him while on pretrial release. But prosecutors pushed back, telling the judge all of these were available to him when he decided to unload 26 rounds out of an AR-15 in the middle of the street. And again, the judge seems to agree, saying, for something to escalate to the point where you feel you need to go into the middle of the street and let off 26 shots, I don't know what set of circumstances circumstances short of incarceration I can find. But 8 different times, Moody's defense attorney rejects the judge's arguments, saying Moody had no prior criminal history, had a developing brain, and that his personality changed after his grandfather died. The defense pleading with the judge that Moody had already been in jail for 2 weeks and that 2 weeks of incarceration is not where he wanted to end up again. Eventually, Judge Nolan relents, releasing Moody on 24/7 home incarceration at his stepfather's house in Maryland with a GPS ankle monitor, warning, "The concern I have is for the safety of the community."
Concern.
And a lot of people also have that concern right now. The U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia has filed an emergency order to reverse the magistrate judge's decision to grant that teen shooting suspect pre-trial release. That hearing will happen next week, and Larry, we will be there.
Remarkable that nobody was hurt in all of this.
How did the guy crank? Guys, he must not know how to handle that gun. Crank off 26 rounds into a car. Nobody gets killed. I mean, come on. That's insanity. Just boom, 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 boom. And then the judge is like, well, I'm concerned too. I'm really concerned here, guys. Keep his ass in jail. How about that? How about that for concern? No, it's not what we're doing. That's not what we're doing in today's living in the down under, are we? Got a good, this is from the New York Post. Teen accused of firing 26 shots from an AR-15 at car is released on bail by woke judge. I mean, that just kind of says it all, doesn't it? Got a woke judge, and the woke judge knows better. He knows better. He's like, I don't know. He's talking to the public defender. I don't know. I think this guy should be in jail. Please, judge, please. And on the 9th time, she's like, yes, I got him. All I had to do is just beg. I mean, an ankle bracelet and some activities. Hey, Junior, instead of taking your AR-15, which is probably stolen, that's not yours. You didn't buy it legally. Instead of taking your stolen AR-15 and just lighting up the street that you live on, how about we do some activities? Maybe some, I don't know, macrame? Maybe, I know. We're going to get you to finish school because you're going to go from shooting up the sidewalk like Jesse James to really knuckling down on your studies here, aren't you? This kid, in reality, this kid has mental issues, and they admitted he had mental issues. All right, Grandpa died. Okay, and he hasn't been the same. All right, so let's just give him an ankle bracelet, and we'll see how it goes. And yeah, he cranked off 26 rounds before, but I'm sure he'll be fine. He's got a supportive family. Full supportive family, that's great. Where were they when he's out, just literally lighting up the street? The logic here is just beyond, isn't it? It's beyond measure. You just really sit there and go, huh, okay, all right, okay. And this led you to make a decision to let this kid go? I don't care. If he's mental and he's not able to stand for his charges, then put him somewhere he can get the help he needs. But do not let him out on the streets. You know what I mean? Just let him go to mom's basement. It'll be fine. Just give him a little ankle bracelet. It'll be good. That whole thing, I'm going to remand you to the custody of your family who did absolutely nothing when you're out in the street, just boom, 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 right? I don't know. It's kind of how I see it. A woke Washington, D.C. judge is facing backlash after he opted to cut loose an 18-year-old accused of firing more than 24 rounds from an AR-15 into a car full of people. He must be a terrible shot. I mean, seriously. 26 rounds into a car and you don't kill anybody? Even injure them? I mean, did you even hit the car? How far away were you? Lloyd U. Nolan Jr., a judge in the Superior Court of District of Columbia, last week ordered Armonte Moody to be released on house arrest ahead of his trial. And we wonder why we have an escalation of crime in the United States. Let's let him go. He's mostly, mostly not shooting his AR-15 at random people. Yeah. Despite acknowledging that the teen's alleged actions could have killed someone. Yes, they could. When you crank off 26 rounds anywhere, you could kill somebody. You could. That's just how life goes, right? That's just how life goes. Moody, who was slapped with charges including assault with a dangerous weapon, had allegedly sprayed 20, allegedly. Well, all we got to do is watch the replay of the video. And you got him dead to rights, right? I mean, you're just watching him from a bunch of different angles, just lighten that up. So, allegedly, he sprayed 26 shots at an SUV carrying 4 people on Independence Avenue in the early hours of April 22nd. Have you guys, I watch a lot of Instagram just because there's a lot of people I just watch on there. And I'm not a Facebook. I gave up Facebook a long time ago, but there's a lot of clips of just some crazy shootings. Now Instagram has got that kind of fuzzed out image, and it says, warning, there may be some violence on here. And people are literally getting shot and just they're going down. And Instagram is allowing this just ultra violence to be shown in these short videos. And it's not just one. You're seeing it all over. It's like if this guy had somebody standing in front of him and he, shot him with his AR-15, Instagram is showing that. I think what's happening is, and I know what's happening is we are just accepting of gun violence. And this is not gun violence. This is people violence, people on people violence. Cause gun doesn't just jump up and shoot somebody. Somebody has to make the decision to do that. So nobody is questioned where he got the gun, how he got the gun. He's 18. Nobody's even, they're just like, they let him out of jail? What? And the fact that they made the comment, he's been in there 2 whole weeks already. Guy needs to be somewhere other than the streets, right? Here he is running back to his family compound. I don't know what it is. Maybe just an alleyway there. That looks like a carport, and this is definitely an alley. And he's just booking it back. He's like, oh my gosh, I shot the gun. I tried to kill people and I didn't. I might be in some trouble. Nolan's decision to still grant the teen pretrial release. He's just letting him go in the face of his alleged crime quickly sparked outrage on social media, with many accusing the judge of being a George Soros puppet and pointing to his history of woke online posts. This is what we get, folks. This is what we get. And this is how this just, that decline. That decline. It's not the folks that legally own guns that are running around shooting people. It's kids like this. He just has it in his head. All right, this is crisis resolution. I get my gun and I shoot somebody because I'm real upset with them. I'm upset Grandpa died. I'm upset that these people are dissing me. I don't know. Who knows what happened, right? The Facebook post the judge had previously shared included a meme in 2019 declaring he was still woke, as well as another promoting Black Lives Matter, according to Fox News. Now, when I went over to CHOP, that was kind of one of those, okay, Black Lives Matter until 2 Black lives get murdered. It's like, okay, right. Okay. Woke ends up with people being murdered. Okay. All right. Yep. Got it. All right. I'm on top of it. I gotcha. It feels like that's, the road that you go down. He also previously posted a link showing he donated to a Gideon's Promise fundraiser in 2020, a group founded via a fellowship from lefty donor George Soros' Open Society Foundation. The judge's social last week, who was it? Politico. Politico had a news organization, whatever they are. They had a headline. It said, shockingly, the people that are backing George Biden are, a bunch of far left leaning nut jobs, George Soros included, right? Those are his big donors. You got Rockefellers, you got Pritzker, I think it was. You got George Soros. And they were like, oh my gosh, that's just supporting the president. Where you been there, Politico? Where you been? The judge's social media account was switched to private as the backlash against his recent bail decision mounted. Hey, Judge Nolan, what are you doing? You're letting Junior out, and he should clearly be incarcerated until you kind of work out how all this is going to go and maybe how long you're going to give him. This kid gets no time, right? He just gets probation. All right, try not to murder anybody with your stolen AR-15. Try not to murder anybody, okay? Be a good boy. Be a good boy. Go get that GED, whatever it might be. So the judge is deeply tied to a George Soros organization and has openly posted about identifying as woke on his now private Facebook page. One social media user griped. Soros-funded DAs and judges continue to allow violent criminals to be free on our streets. This isn't by accident. It's all part of a plan to cause chaos. Soros and his globalist thugs know how they can control people who are in a state of disarray better than those at peace. Another tweeted, these are just people chiming in, right? I'm just reading this. These are people's opinions. I, for the most part, agree with that. You've got this crazy, crime phenomenon going on, especially when you literally watch it on the streets of Seattle escalate during the pandemic. You're like, wait a minute. This all, I'm not a huge conspiracy guy. I'm just not, but it feels like things are, moving in step as kind of a plan here. What are we doing? Why is crime all of a sudden escalating so hard during the pandemic, right after the pandemic, right? It was like somebody had a switch. They're like, all right, do I hit it yet? No. Do I hit it yet? No. Do I hit it yet? Yep. Okay. Right. And then everything just kind of took off. And maybe it's not that clear, but it sure felt, it was weird. All right, let all the encampments go. Whatever crime you want to do, let that happen. Everybody else stay at home. We'll close all the businesses. This is going to be great, right? It's just nutty. One ex-user added, they say AR-15s are dangerous, but here the person wielding the AR-15 and spraying more than 24 rounds on a public street is not dangerous. It does make you pause, doesn't it? It's like, yeah. Ex-user goes on to say, how can the AR-15 be dangerous if the person using it is not a danger to public? Liberal logic. Why are we letting him out? I mean, period. Why are we letting him out? The kid is clearly a threat. I mean, it's not even a maybe. It's a, hey, that kid cranked off 26 rounds. You know what I mean? I mean, how can you honestly say, you know what? We're just gonna have to, we're gonna have to buckle down. We're gonna have to have Junior, really get into his studies. We're gonna have to turn the ship. He's gonna have to make a hard right-hand turn. Man, I don't know. I mean, is that just what we do? Release him? A judge who's came right out? I mean, we read what the judge was saying. He's like, I don't know. You're the judge. You're the judge. The attorney, the public defender, it's their job to get their guy off in the most lenient deal possible, right? That's their job, whether it's right or wrong. And so when the judge is like, I don't know, I can't see anything other than just, keeping him incarcerated. No, please, with sugar on top, just give him an ankle bracelet. It'll be fine. Odds are it probably will, but you don't want to take that risk. That risk is no. He goes kill somebody else. I mean, the kid's already in a mental state where this is a no-go. The whole thing is just, how do we get here? Are we living in the down under? I think we are. These are great. 2019 still woke. All right, there's Gideon's promise. There's the big power fist. Yep. Nolan's decision to set Moody free on house arrest came despite the judge finding probable cause for the case to go to trial. So we're going to trial, but I'm going to just let you go. I'm just going to let you go because, soft on crime. That's what we're doing. Soft on crime. This is all part of justice reform. How is that working out? Does that make any sense at all to you? It doesn't to me. You got people committing crimes, lock them up. Period. Right? That's not what we're doing. Oh, you committed a crime. Yeah. Allegedly. Even though we've got video from 14 different angles that show you shooting. The judge also repeatedly agreed with prosecutors. You can't make this stuff up. with prosecutors about the severity of the teen's alleged crimes, according to a transcript of last Friday's hearing obtained by WUSA 9. The concern, here it is again. I love the word concern. Remember when I used to say reimagining and rethinking all the time because that drove me nuts? Well, now it's concern. The concern I have is that this action could have killed someone. Let's see. Yep. Judge, you're right. You're right. That is concerning that he could have killed somebody. He could have ended someone else's life. Right? And then you're on record stating, I've got concern. This is very concerning. So, yeah, what about this kid's family who's allegedly very supportive and they were in the courtroom? Where were they? I didn't see any of them out on the street going, hey, put the gun down. What are you doing? Well, what are you doing? Don't be shooting a gun. Moody's public defender pushed for GPS monitoring and insisted the teen had a supportive family who were willing to keep tabs on him ahead of his trial. No, hard no, but that's what he got. That is literally the deal. Oh yeah, here you go. Put that on. Here he is. I mean, got images of him. Whether he's actually shooting in this one, who knows? But when prosecutors pushed back, arguing those options were available to Moody prior to his alleged shooting spree, the judge appeared to agree. He did agree. For something to escalate to the point where you feel you need to go into the middle of the street and let off 26 shots, I don't know what set of circumstances short of incarceration I can find. You are the judge. You make the decisions. You are making terrible decisions, including this one. And that's how we have our public safety impacted. And by impacted, I mean just take a nosedive. Don't have enough cops and, defund the police. Oh, greatest thing ever. And then you got kids running around shooting their AR-15s and then judges just basically letting them off going, I'm sure the family will be fine. Public safety, it's a relative concept. Despite warning he had concern for the safety of the community, the judge eventually relented and released Moody on 24/7 house arrest. How many stories did we read where these kids just, tear off their ankle monitor or they don't charge it? You know what I mean? At his stepfather's house in Maryland. I was reading a story about, it was a homeless person who had been committed a crazy crime. And they'd been put on an ankle monitor system. And you got to charge those up every now and then, right? This person's homeless. And like, yeah. And then they tore it off and they're just running around willy-nilly doing shenanigans because that's what we're doing. Prosecutors with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C. have since filed an emergency order to reverse the judge's decision to grant the teen pretrial release. Yeah, I mean, somebody's going, hey, wait a minute, Judge, you're doing what? No. Let's get that emergency order on the books pronto. And so we'll have to see where that goes. But, you're going to have a hearing. And this judge already made his decision. This kid is already out, right? He's got the little ankle monitor on. It's absolutely shocking that this is 2024. This is somehow spun as justice reform. To me, it's just failure of justice. It's absolute failure of justice. That whole public safety notion, it's just being, don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. It's all good. Yeah, no, people are getting killed. And then we wonder why. We're like, yeah, oh, that's concerning. Maybe we need to rethink and reimagine that whole concept we had going on there. All right. Couple more topics that are right in line with this. Cop attacking migrants get off easy because Bragg, Biden, and Dems support lawlessness. Another New York Post. This is the editorial board. Remember that beatdown that the cops in Times Square, New York Police Department officers? They're basically getting off with nothing. Incredibly, 6 of the illegal migrants charged in that vicious Times Square attack and New York Police Department officers have been offered plea deals. Be a good boy. Go get your GED. Gonna put a little shackle on you until trial. Progressives don't care about lawlessness. That's right. Illegally enter the country, illegally flee from the border to New York City, openly assault cops, and you'll get no more than a slap on the wrist. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Does that seem reasonable? No. Absolute shenanigans to the nth degree, right? And you'll likely get a stay in America, not deporting them, because New York City, sanctuary city, they're not dealing with ICE. Seattle doesn't deal with ICE either. They won't turn people over. It's like, I need to protect the rights of the illegals. It's like, no, they commit a crime. Go to the gulag, right? And you'll likely get a stay in America since New York City refuses to work with immigration and customs enforcement on handing over illegals who commit crimes. Why are we doing that? You commit a crime, boom, out. You're done. Boom, gone. There was a story yesterday. Mexico is sending from the northern portion of Mexico, U.S.-Mexico border. They are flying people out of, was it Juarez? I think it was, just across the border. They're flying people out of Juarez back to Venezuela. Ooh, yeah. Ooh. You know why? Because Biden and the president of Mexico they're buddies. They're buddies. And the whole immigration thing since December, remember, since Q4, that's 4. That's 3. That's 4. Yeah. I was at the Stones last night, so things were still a little, we're trying to get back to normal. Good show. Fun show. We even left early. We left before the encore. But, I got stuff to do here and I can't be up until, I think I was up till 1, even leaving early. Horrible. Ugh, tired. But, you've got these situations where they're just letting folks go. And down in the southern border, they're flying people from Mexico to Venezuela they're flying them from Juarez down to southern Mexico, basically starting them over because the numbers look terrible for Biden. And he's like, hey, guys down in Mexico, could you help us out and, do your part to secure the border a little bit? Because, man, the numbers from Q4 in 2023 are not good. It did not make me look good because, I basically let the border come wide open, and good Lord, who knew that people would get upset? So, here's these kids. They're coming in, everybody's watching them going, all right, you get to beat up a cop. What is the punishment? Does the punishment fit the crime? Well, there's really no punishment. 3 of the migrants face a year in prison for their literal assault on law and order. A year. And they're here illegally. Deport them. Never to come back. Out you go. One, 𝗪𝗓𝗓 Brito, turns out to have been rearrested after a lefty priest bailed him out when he was initially nabbed. Brito was then let walk on the second crime, a Macy's shoplift attempt. 2 of the vile crew face only 6 months in prison, despite allegedly being members of Venezuela's feared Tren de Aragua gang. That's supposed to be just a vicious gang, right? I mean, Venezuela is run by a bunch of criminals. Worst of all, this is the system working as progressives intend. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, when this is ongoing, and this is the beatdown here, horrible. If you've seen that video, I'm not going to play the video because I just, cops getting abused. That's not really my thing. It's just terrible. It has no place in society. And yet this is what we're doing. You guys are good. Stay in America. It's all good. Maybe you can go out and get one of those illegal delivery driver jobs on your little scooter. Remember, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg dragged his feet on going after the migrant cop beaters until after they'd left town, moving only when an outraged public began to make noise. Remember that? He didn't do anything about it. He's like, you beat up a cop in New York City. We're okay with that. Yeah. And yet we're going after Trump for Stormy Daniels and a bunch of other nonsense. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Actual crime? Yeah, no, not so much. His philosophy means that violent crooks get infinite free chances, even when they attack cops. And the deck is now so stacked against actual prosecutions that when a few do face any consequences, they're meaningless consequences. That the attack was against police officers only amplifies the horror. New York's prosecuting system is signaling that it's open season on authority is what it's open season on, right? People are just, oh yeah. And how about what we got going on over at the University of Washington with just a bunch of knuckleheaded Antifa members? They have literally taken over the quad in the University of Washington. I haven't been over there because it's just so upsetting. My son's been there. I don't really want to go. I want to go and see it. But again, It's just like, I don't want to give a whole bunch of, oh, what are you doing? Oh, what's your message? What are you thinking? What are you doing with all the, wood pallets? Why do you have all wood pallets stacked up? Because, you've got this Antifa who's like, all right, get rid of everything. Black Lives Matter. Get rid of the borders. Get rid of the borders. But there's footage showing them bringing all the wood pallets in because they're making a border. They're making a border to keep the Jewish kids out, right? Oh, those Jewish kids, they're upsetting to us. Therefore, we're going to pallet up this area of the school so they can't get through. How do you think that makes those Jewish kids who are paying good tuition at University of Washington feel, their parents? I'd be pissed, right? I'd be pissed. I'm pissed already. And because I think it's just, you've got a bunch of hate speech going on there, and you've got a bunch of weak leadership in a big, public school that is just like, Israel is occupying a bunch of nonsense. And the article goes on to say, and the picture is just as grim nationally as well. Open border freaks driving federal immigration policy, or lack thereof. That's what it is, right? It's lack thereof. Are ideological comrades of the moral morons behind New York's criminal justice reforms. And that's why we've got criminal activity escalating the way that we do, because the criminals know there's no repercussions for their actions. There's none. It's like, another podcast I'm going to be doing is, there's major storylines out there right now on the copper wiring for the EV charging systems being stolen. I've talked about that. We've talked about that before, but it's really getting out of control now. And one of the things that a lot of the media is saying is that, these people are so desperate that they're willing to risk, years in jail for stealing $3 or $4 worth of copper line from these charging hoses, right? And the reality is, they know, even if they get busted, if it's in California, if it's in New York City, if it's wherever, they know if they get busted, nothing's going to happen to them. So these aren't crimes of need. These are crimes of greed. Plain and simple. They know they're going to get away with it. This kid, he didn't think when he, cranked off the AR-15, right? And if he did, he wasn't thinking real clearly. So that's why fiscal 2024 encounters are likely on pace to shatter the already record 2023 numbers, talking about the illegals coming across the border, and why the chaos is set to continue with the full blessing of the party and his party. Well, Democrats have toned it down because they're like, oh, yeah, this is not a good look. Mexico, could you help a brother out? Because, trying to get reelected. Will Trump debate Biden? Will Biden debate Trump? I know Trump's all in. But man, I cannot see Biden doing an actual, with his mental limited capacity, I can't see him getting through an entire debate. I mean, how hopped up on whatever kind of mind, speed to make sure that he's firing on 2 of his 6 cylinders. How much of that stuff does he have to get hopped up on? And even then, he's not logically going in the right direction. So the article finishes off with, if this is protecting and defending against all enemies, foreign and domestic, we'd hate to see what giving up looks like. I love New York Post. I think their stuff is dead on. If this is protecting and defending against all enemies, foreign and domestic, we'd hate to see what giving up looks like. Absolutely. What does giving up look like? Because what you're doing now, it doesn't make any sense, does it? I mean, this is just, come into the country and do whatever the F you want. Just have at it. It's all right. It's all good. We have some concerns. There's no concerns here. All right. Last storyline along this. And I've talked about this. Department of Public Safety has charged hundreds of migrants who rushed a border gate with rioting. Remember, we saw that. It was like a couple hundred. This is down at checkpoint 36 in El Paso. It's where, on everybody's Instagram or Facebook post, the cartel has said, check post 36, where we want to go. Head there, head that way. A judge has thrown out the charges. I talked about this a couple of days ago, recorded that podcast. He basically said, my hands are tied. I'm a misdemeanor judge. I can't have jurisdiction of this. Just let them go. Liberal judge in El Paso just absolutely making a mockery of the whole deal. And these guys rushed just the border, the agents were trying to get there's a couple of these agents, a handful. I don't know. Is there 3 or 4, maybe 5? And they were trying to get this big group into lines so that they can transport them out. All right, you guys go get in that van. You guys go get in that van. He's got a couple hundred people. They're going to be able to rush you pretty easy. And that's what happened. One guy had his knee just, wrecked, just hammered on his knee. And, so, these folks were all had charges. And then the judge is like, yeah. And when you hear kind of the background of what the locals were thinking, the El Paso folks were thinking, they're like, we really can't take them in our jail system here. I don't have the room. We just got to let them go. It's like, man, no, you got to make a statement every now and then and go, you know what? You guys are going to need to cool your jets in jail for 30 days, whatever it is, till we work this out, till we figure this out. And then guess what? You guys committed a crime. We're getting you the heck out of here. You're being deported. But that's not what we're doing, right? It's not what we're doing, even in Texas, because these border towns, when I was down in Eagle Pass, you would think the border towns would be, hey, let's clean up the border. We don't want people just coming in. But the Eagle Pass is 93% Hispanic. You're basically in Mexico, just happens to be across. And so they're all, letting the, everybody just flow in. That's fine with them. It's totally okay with them. It's okay. It's all right. Same thing in El Paso. You've got folks that are, very liberal, and they're like, they're good people. I did rush those, Department of Public Safety officers. One guy got really knocked up, but you know what? For the most part, they're mostly peaceful. Twice in recent months, hundreds of migrants have rushed a border gate in El Paso in an effort to push past state troopers and National Guard and get into the U.S. The Texas Department of Public Safety responded by arresting hundreds of the migrants en masse on misdemeanor rioting charges. Now that strategy is being tested in local courts. Earlier this week, a judge in El Paso dismissed 211 of the rioting cases related to one incident. The same judge had previously dismissed 140 other cases from another border rushing incident. Those cases were revived when the local district attorney took the unusual step of presenting the misdemeanor cases to a grand jury, which indicted all of the migrants. Because what are you going to say? They've got tape, they've got witnesses. I mean, you got a whole bunch of basically cops standing around going, yeah. I mean, it's not a hard case to decide. It's not lacking in evidence, right? You've got cameras 10 ways from Sunday there recording all the shenanigans because this is a hot zone. So now Texas has sent in hundreds of agents, National Guard, public safety officers to milepost or whatever it is, checkpoint Charlie 36. So typically grand juries only review more serious felony cases while prosecutors present misdemeanor cases directly to judges who must determine if there's enough evidence. The judge basically said, the city didn't file certain paperwork. Therefore, my hands are tied. I got to let it go. So they got let off on a technicality. Just kind of like our judge in the AR-15 is like, I've got concern. I don't think this is a good call, but I'm going to do it anyway. So you've just got a bunch of people running around committing crimes and they get let off. And that just enforces this whole notion that crime does pay. You can get away with that, even if you're illegal. We're back in the days where if you came across illegally and somebody found out, they were afraid of being deported. Now, we're not afraid of anything. Mow people down, it's okay. It's all good. We'll give you a little home respite. You can wear your ankle bracelet there. So at a news conference on Thursday, Hicks defended his decision to present the cases to a grand jury and said his office will appeal Judge Ruben Morales' ruling. He added that the 211 migrants would be released on Thursday. He said that if an appeals court reverses Morales' ruling, he would issue arrest warrants for the 211 migrants whose cases the judge dismissed this week. What a mess. I mean, You've got to have law and order somewhere, somehow. You know what I mean? You can't just have people running around willy-nilly, just doing whatever they want and without any repercussions. It just enforces the whole notion and the whole concept that this is this is out of control and it's totally acceptable. It gives people the idea that, hey, you know what? Those guys did it. I can do it too. I can get away with this. Like cranking off an AR-15. And what message does that send to kids? I mean, you know, they're honing in on this storyline, right? You know, they're just like, well, look at him. I mean, you know, that's going to come up. Hey, the other judge gave that kid just home detention. Let his family sing Kumbaya to him. Absolutely nutty, right? It is. And these storylines aren't just one-offs either. We've got just multiple all the time just coming through. You guys send me some great stories. Somebody was saying the other day, hey, thanks for being accessible and the fact that we can send you stories and you'll read them. And I do all the time, but I miss stuff too. There's so much in the way of storylines going on that it's like, oh, I missed that one, even though that's a really good one, a really critical one. So you guys sending me the stories, you can send them on Discord. You can send them. There's typically an email address somewhere in the beginning of most of our videos. And you can get these storylines to me. But I appreciate you guys sending me the storylines because it also tells me what you guys are interested in me reading, along the same lines. So it kind of confirms, all right, these stories here, and I think at least a handful of you sent me, I think the kid with the AR-15, because it's so shocking. And like I said at the beginning, I don't normally record these, but it's so shocking when you read it. It's like, what? How can that possibly be? Why in the world would we let that kid go? Yeah, it's justice reform. Okay, justice reform. All right. Yeah. No, that's not reform. That is justice destruction. I don't know what else to say. If the whole goal is to empty out the prisons and get all the criminals out on the streets, that is working. It's like, Gruesome Newsom is claiming that California is the poster child for how to handle homelessness. And it's like, okay, if you are the poster child for how to handle the homeless issue, and you've had an explosion of homelessness in your entire state, what are you doing, right? What exactly are you doing to prevent said homelessness? Well, he wants to spend another, what I think, $3.3 billion to solve the homeless issue. How's that working out? Yeah, it's not. But if you want to believe that he's doing a great job, maybe go take a look at Skid Row in LA and then maybe get back to me. Because video footage I'm seeing of Skid Row, it is not looking good. Venice Beach, any of those areas, LA in general, Sacramento. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on, right? Billions of dollars of money being spent and nothing happening. It's like justice reform, clearing out the prisons, letting everybody go. And because, this is somehow reform in the right direction. I don't think so. Letting kids go, shooting, cranking off rounds because you're convinced because their public defender asked you 9 times. And on the 10th one, you just went, okay. It's like the guy got in an argument with his wife and just didn't want to hear it anymore. And he's like, oh, all right, okay. I just had to, this is not a good decision. And doing this against my will. And I believe he should be incarcerated. But you asked so many times nicely. Okay. Plus, I just don't want to hear it again. All right. Remand that young man to the custody of his parents, his family. And make sure you get that ankle bracelet on him. Does that make any sense at all to you? Doesn't to me either. So, all right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you guys in the next one. I'm going to check some of the comments you guys made over here.